Martell Webster has taken defense a little bit more seriously this year.
And I don't think Martell Webster appreciated this foul, Hilbert Wilkins. He just kind of clipped him in the back of the head. No mean to harm him there, but you talked about Seattle going up and down. This is not a post-up team. Other than Chris Wilcox, who really doesn't post up a lot, they have no post-up players on this ball club. This is going to be a perimeter-oriented team, starting with Kevin Durant. I'm just sitting here right now, Jonesy, watching this and seeing, we talked about the youth of both these teams, 24 and 25 years,
right,
average age respectively, and look at all these great players already. And they're young, they're athletic, they're long. We could be seeing a lot of potential all-stars out here on the floor.
A great rivalry for many years to come, perhaps, in the Northwest Division, as Wilkins is off the mark. Seattle still without its first field goal in the ballgame. Portland leading by a pair. Here's Brandon Roy, back-to-back player of the week in the Western Conference. The first player to do that since Clyde Drexler did it many moons ago, that time off the mark. Here's Watson.
Well, that's quite a feat for a second-year guy or a 10-year pro. That's saying something. 2 weeks in a row to be the best in the West.
A little too much cranberry as well, you think, for both these teams? Early on, the shooting a little bit chilly. Seattle 0 for 3. Portland 1 of 8 from the field. Here's LaMarcus Aldridge handing it off to Roy. Nice feed inside. Prisbilla with the finish.
When this team started this 10-0 run, it was because Brandon Roy was made the primary ball handler and the facilitator.
Watson counters over Steve Blake, but to finish off that point, Brandon Roy actually had a little conversation with his head coach, Nate McMillan, prior to that game in Memphis back in early December. And at the time, Roy was going through a little bit of a shooting slump. And they decided to put him on the ball a little bit more, and it has certainly reaped many dividends.
Well, here you're going to see just great dribble penetration. You get into the middle of the lane, you break down a defense. Wilcox comes over to help in a nice left-handed dish. But Brandon Roy's got to find out a way to be effective for his team when his shot's not going. And that's what Nate McMillan has said that he's been able to do over the past 2 weeks. He might not shoot the ball well, but he's averaging 7 assists, 7 boards in that time.
Well-rounded player out of Seattle. A lot of Seattle-Portland ties in this ball game. Nate McMillan, the head coach of the Trailblazers, used to be the head coach of Seattle, and P.J. Carlesimo, head coach of Seattle, used to be the head coach here. A place that he still has very fond memories of. Off the Roy miss, Aldridge pulls it out. Blake, a little pick and roll with Prisbilla. Steve Blake with an open look. And Blake knocks it down for his first field goal. Actually, that's his 4th point of the ball game. Wally Szczerbiak checked in for Wilkins. No need for him to heat up. He comes in with a lather.
Yeah, absolutely. Great shooter. 49% career shooter. A ton of great years in Minnesota, playing along Garnett. This guy can just flat out shoot the basketball, Jonesy.
Seattle in a zone defense right now, John. Something they play a lot of. Here's Blake with another open look. That time off the mark. Rebounded by Durant. Here's Watson.
Portland is a good three-point shooting team, but their three-pointers are guys that come off the bench.
Watson with a nice lob to Wilcox. And that's where Wilcox can be effective on the move. Here's Prisbilla. Roy on the baseline. Blake for 3. Watson in transition. There they go on the push. And Szczerbiak can't finish it. Portland with numbers. Webster. And that's going to be a charge. Kurt Thomas taking the hit.
What a great read by Kurt Thomas. That was a 4-on-1. He knew to go to that side and took the charge. And you see Wilcox with a great catch and tip in on the pass from Watson. But tremendous defense. Kurt Thomas, an underrated player in this league for many years. Great years with the Knicks, Miami Heat. Did a great job for Phoenix last year, guarding Tim Duncan.
Watson had to go halfway down and out. And in the big picture with the Seattle team, you would have to say in somewhat of a rebuilding phase after letting Rashard Lewis go to Orlando and Ray Allen trading him to the Boston Celtics. Blake missing once again. He's getting a lot of open looks.
When you're open, it's by design.
There's a reason why. Huh?
I love it when guys would come over and say, well, coach, I was open. They're like, well, yeah, no kidding. They want you to be open because you can't shoot.
Here's Watson. Durant shooting 40% from the field in his rookie season. Soft touch, couldn't get it to fall. Portland will take an early one if they have the opportunity. Roy in amongst the trees. And it's saved nicely by Kurt Thomas. And there's the transition, and there's an easy one for Kevin Durant. And that's the first Seattle lead of the ball game at 9-7.
Well, I think Brandon Roy is just pushing a little bit right now. Taking some difficult shots, contested shots. That time forced the issue there. Had a couple guys on him. Just needs to slow down and let the game come to him.
Both of these teams coming off of very impressive wins. Seattle defeated Toronto and Portland over Denver in their last meetings. Here's Webster from downtown, and he knocks it down. Talked about the ties between Seattle and Portland. Webster out of Seattle Prep, and Durant in a blink.
Better get back.
That'll improve your field goal percentage. We got a timeout on the floor. Kevin Durant, last year's college basketball player of the year out of Texas. Covering a lot of ground in transition, and Seattle with the lead when we return to the Rose. Different seasons. Says that he has fond memories of his coaching days here. Right now his team leading by a point with 5:25 to go in the first quarter. I'm Mark Jones along with John Barry, Rick Bucher courtside. The Portland Trail Blazers, the hottest team in the NBA right now, in the midst of a 10-game winning streak. They haven't lost since December the 2nd. There's Brandon Roy, who so far, John, has gone 0 for 6 inside to LaMarcus Aldridge.
And he turned down a wide open 18-foot shot there in the corner. Go ahead and keep taking the shots. Take good shots. Don't worry about the result right now.
Watson out top gets a screen from Wilcox. Serbiak now on the wing. 6 on the shot clock for the Sonics. Good extra pass by Durant. And that'll earn him some points, some buddy points with his teammates, John.
Well, that's what P.J. Carlesimo has said that he's gotten better at. He's making the extra pass. His shot selection is much better, and therefore he's becoming a better teammate.
Brandon Roy rising up. Short of dunking that ball, he'll go to the line for an and one.
Well, that'll get you going if you're 0 for 6. As we see a great swing here to Earl Watson, able to knock down the 3 at the shot clock buzzer. And Brandon Roy, 0 for 6, says, okay, I'll just take it inside the paint. Goes up strong, gets the foul, and he goes to the line.
Last year's Rookie of the Year missing that time from the free throw line. Roy, a 76% free throw shooter. But, yeah, he's struggling right now, John, much like he did in their last game against Denver, where he went just 4 of 15 from the field. But he did make key plays when it counted.
Well, that's the key. This game is not all about scoring the basketball. There's a lot of other things you can do to help your ball club win.
Channing Frye has checked into the ball game for Portland. Aldridge kicks it out. Good ball movement. Roy up top. Wow. And Seattle turns it over.
I don't think he's struggling anymore, Mr. Jones. How about the shake and bake? He's like the Magic Man. Now you see him, now you don't. Right by Durant and the flush. Nasty.
If you had any doubts about his explosiveness, he gave you a display of it there. 10 on the shot clock. Roy starting to feel it a little bit right now. Rebounded by Thomas. Durant was calling for the alley-oop. Instead, it's Serbiak from the corner for 3.
Well, this is the Phoenix Suns of the Northwest here.
Certainly are.
Up and down. Doesn't matter if the Blazers score or not. They're getting it out and pushing the basketball.
As I said earlier, amongst league leaders in field goals attempted, Roy had it swatted by Thomas. And it's a 3-on-1 for Seattle. Serbiak finishes at the rim.
Oh, tremendous look away there by Earl Watson. And the bounce pass. That's the pass you use on a 3-on-1. For all you young kids out there, beautiful play, Earl Watson.
Sonics have won their last 2 road games in a row. Come on, looking pretty good here in the first quarter as we approach 3 minutes to go in the first period. Jarrett Jack with the layup for Blazers. And Earl Watson right after the make, looking for a run. You know, it's interesting that Seattle would play this way under P.J. Carlesimo. Carlesimo's recent lineage would dictate otherwise coming from San Antonio. Here's Serbiak from downtown.
Oh, wow.
And Wally is in his own world. 6-point lead for the Sonics.
Quick 10 for Wally Szczerbiak off the bench.
Szczerbiak has scored the last 8 in a row for Seattle. From the baseline, Channing Frye, who's starting to get his groove back a little bit of late.
Well, an excellent shooter, even at his height. An excellent standstill jump shooter, Channing Frye, playing better of late in the Blazers. Getting it going a little bit here as they trail by 4 to the Red Hot Sonics.
Early start here.
Like I said, I just think he's pressing a little bit, a couple contested shots, forcing the issue a little bit. He'll be okay. A couple dunks got him going. He's 2 of his last 3. But on the other end, the Seattle Sonics, offense hasn't been a problem for these guys. Tonight, starting 3 of 9, they've hit 6 of their last 6. So they found a groove.
Sergio Rodriguez has checked into the game for Portland. Guarding Durant out top. Durant rises up over him, hits nothing. Nick Collison, who's also checked in, walked with it underneath. You know, Nate McMillan had some interesting comments when we met with him before the game. And this too coincides with the 10-game winning streak by Portland. He said that he backed off of them a little bit. They're a young team. He said he might have been putting a little bit too much pressure on them to make plays, so he let them go and let them make the mistakes that they had to make. And, well, it's really paid off for him.
Well, he felt that in his 3rd year, it's time. And this is Nate's 3rd year here with Portland. And he really felt that in this 3rd year that he needed to make some noise. And he wanted this team to be ready. But when you lose Greg Oden, the #1 pick in the draft, and you have such a young ball club, expectations aren't as high, but they were for Nate McMillan.
And Travis Outlaw, John, has been one guy that's been pivotal in this 10-game run by the Blazers. Off the bench, he has been paramount to their success.
Well, one of many hit a big game winner just last week. He, along with James Jones, have been just shooting the lights out lately as Szczerbiak continues.
Somebody better throw cold water on him because Wally is heating up. He's got 12 in a blink. 5 of 6 from the field, and he scored the last 10 for Seattle. Rodriguez, that's why they call him Spanish Chocolate. His game is sweet. Underneath to Jarrett Jack. And Durant with a quick jack. Rodriguez in transition for the Blazers.
Oh, wow. Sergio. Slicing and dicing out there.
Sergio Rodriguez, their first-round draft pick out of Spain. Having an immediate impact here. Doesn't get a lot of minutes, averaging about 9 minutes per game. And making things happen. 7 on the shot clock. Why not, Wally? Rebounded by James Jones.
Got to make Wally Szczerbiak put the ball on the floor. Jarrett Jack got away with one there. Wally's very capable of making that shot.
Under 30 seconds to go in the first period. Jarrett Jack out top. Nice speed underneath. And Jones couldn't convert. He's kind of a stranger being that close to the bucket. Usually lives beyond the 3-point line. And now Seattle going to run one to run time down.
I'm not sure what defense that was from Seattle, and I don't think they know either, Mark.
Ridnour out top. Ridnour coming off struggles with a quadriceps injury. That is a wild hook.
Bill Walton back up here in Portland with the hook.
Well, the first quarter ends with Portland and Seattle deadlocked at 24. When we come back, Rick Bucher will get some comments from head coach P.J. Carlesimo. Back after this. Glass, when you play a zone, it becomes problematic.
Well, that is the problem, is boxing out. Portland had 6 offensive rebounds. 25th in the league, Portland, off the offensive glass. I thought they'd be better with the length and athleticism that they have. Not a real good offensive rebounding team, but they are tonight.
Here's Outlaw again. Travis Outlaw missing, rebounded by Collison. And Delonte West is back in the ball game. This after missing a little over a week with a leg injury.
I really like Delonte West. I think he's very, very solid in every area of the game. He can shoot it. He knows it. He can pass. He can defend.
He and Ridnour in the backcourt. That was Ridnour with the miss. Rodriguez in transition for the Blazers. Remember this Portland team, a team that had the first pick of the draft last June. They chose Greg Oden. Oden, earlier this year, underwent microfracture knee surgery back on September the 14th. Jarrett Jack with the layup. And Oden with a recovery period between 6 to 12 months. Not expected to play this year. And that you could think would be a big blow to this franchise, but in light of those circumstances, they have had a wonderful season so far. Rittenauer throws it away.
Well, I think everybody thought that when Greg Oden went down before this season that it'd be another lottery-type season for this Portland Trailblazer team. And if you remember, when David Robinson went out a few years back, they wound up getting Tim Duncan that next year. And that worked out pretty well. So I saw Kevin Pritchard, the GM here of the Blazers, and said, thought you were going to get another lottery pick. He said, so did I.
Yeah. This team getting a chance to develop, and then when Oden comes back, guys like Travis Outlaw there will be even more lethal and probably get a few more open looks. Outlaw with 4 points in the game. Portland leading by 4. Brandon Roy on the bench right now, getting a breather. Here's Rittenauer. Serbiak had it knocked away by Rodriguez. 3 on the shot clock for Rittenauer. Well, that wasn't the way that PJ drew it up, but they'll take it anyway. Rittenauer with his first field goal. Been a frustrating season for him with the quadriceps injury where he missed 12 games and a broken nose as well. Outlaw thought about it. James Jones. Jones off the miss. Back out to Fry.
James Jones, a major contributor here this year. Came over from Phoenix, where he just never could seem to get it going down there in Phoenix. An excellent shooter as it's a great backdoor cut. And Sergio drops him off. But James Jones, I mean, all the open shots he got down in Phoenix created by Steve Nash, and yet he couldn't shoot over 37%.
Yeah. Right now leading the NBA in three-point shooting, John, but he has his driver's license too.
Well, and you never see him go to the basket. In the last 2 years with the Phoenix Suns, he's a guy that spreads the floor. He's a great three-point shooter, and Nate McMillan said nothing but great things about him. Like I said, he knows how to space the floor and makes things easier for Brandon Roy and LaMarcus Aldridge.
Blazers bench, meanwhile, with 16 points in the game so far. Over half of its points. Rodriguez, nice pick and roll with Channing Frye. You watch Sergio Rodriguez play, and he really distributes the ball pretty well. The rookie out of Spain played on the Spanish national team. Let's go to Rick Bucher with a little bit more. Rick?
Good friend Rudy Fernandez, who's playing over in Spain right now. He's also a draft pick of the Blazers, and I'm told that they expect him to come over next season. Oddly enough, the two are very close, and yet they could be competing for minutes next year. Kevin Pritchard, the GM, is just over the moon as far as how Fernandez is playing right now. So you talk about how young this team is, and yet they have even more talent in the pipeline coming up.
Yeah, Fernandez, arguably the best player in the ACB, the Spanish league, which is maybe the best league outside of the NBA on the planet.
Well, you already have Jarrett Jack and Rodriguez here, Steve Blake.
4 point all those guards.
Well, you know, somebody's got to go, but if you got 4 assets, they go out and get something to help this team.
It's a great dilemma to have if you're Kevin Pritchard, the team's general manager. Jelabal checking in, that jumper short. Collison cleaning up the mess using 2 hands.
Well, we see Jack and Rodriguez playing together because Jarrett Jack, although he is a point guard, he plays more like a 2 guard. He's a scoring guard.
James Jones from downtown, off the mark. Shooting 53% from downtown, that time missing. That 53% tops in the NBA. Jack looking inside for Channing Frye, who's doubled. Great ball movement to Jones underneath. Jones having a tough time finishing in close today. That's his second miss from point-blank range. Rittenauer.
Well, the Blazers getting any look they want, and that's Seattle's problem. 105.7 points per game as Green goes in, and it's going to be a charge.
As James Jones stood in there to take the hit. Timeout on the court. Jeff Green, a highly touted rookie out of Georgetown, goes to the bench. We'll be back right after this.
Streaking.
Youngest team in the NBA right with the lead right now. James Jones. Rodriguez with 9 on the shot clock. Outlaw. Halfway down and out, rebounded by the Sonics.
Again, another wide open look. Great ball move by the Blazers.
Rittenauer got his own shot back. Serbiak, that's a quick release for real. And rebounded by Przybilla. Rodriguez up top for Outlaw. Both teams getting into an up-tempo type game right here. Can Portland play that way and stay with Seattle?
Well, if they keep shooting like this, no. If Seattle's going to knock some down, I think Seattle better offensive team, actually.
Mikel Jelabal with the miss. Rebounded by Jones.
But Seattle with no post presence again. I talked about it. Wilcox every once in a while, but they're a jump shooting team. As again, another uncontested layup for Jarrett Jack. My guy from Georgia Tech.
Down there in Atlanta, Jarrett Jack with 8 quick points in the ball game. This year coming off the bench as opposed to starting, which he did a season ago. Serbiak not shy at all and drains another 3-ball to bring his team to within 3.
Oh, Wally's got to love this system here. Catch and fire.
He was a little bit initially reluctant to be part of a rebuilding job, but doesn't seem to mind shooting the ball. Here's Jelabal. And fouled by Sergio Rodriguez.
A good foul there by Rodriguez, stopping the break. But on the other end, I mean, if you're Seattle, somebody get in the defensive picture here. I mean, look at this. We've got nobody in the paint. One guy in the paint, and he's at the free throw line. It's Jarrett Jack. Has the ball wide open here. Look at this weak side. 1, 2, 3 guys standing there. You got to get over there and get the basketball. Come on. If you love to score, you got to play D to go get the ball.
Might classify that as porous, maybe?
How about defense? No D, right?
There you go. Here's Ridnour. Off to Collison. Nice spin move on the baseline and one for Nick Collison. Nick Collison has really been able to parlay his summer experience with Team USA with some great confidence, but defensively it's an issue for the Sonics.
Well, in every major category here, no better than 23rd. I mean, they gave up the boards, the second chance points. And scoring, we didn't even mention scoring, almost 106 a game. Very difficult to win in this league, giving up 106 points per game.
Regardless, Collison knocks down the free throw, bringing Seattle within 1 point. They have gotten 5 points from Collison in the middle off the bench. Portland Trail Blazers, the hottest team in the NBA going, 10 consecutive wins. And Brandon Roy back in the ballgame for Nate McMillan. Roy, boy, still a tough shooting night for him. He's 2 of 11 from the field. Jack with a nice crossover. Chris Pillar with the rebound. And he's fouled by Collison.
Again, offensive rebounding. That was the 3rd shot there. PJ Colissimo talked about it after the first quarter. Somebody get a body on these Blazers and keep them off the glass.
ESPN's special holiday edition of the NBA, brought to you by Mitsubishi Motors, and First Sunday in theaters this January.
And back on September the 14th, Greg Oden, first pick of the draft for Portland, underwent microfracture surgery. The recovery time expected to be anywhere between 6 to 12 months. And the guy with a chopped jacket, I mean, he is looking fine with Rick Bucher right now.
Greg, so how many of these do you have?
I only got one of them. It was the only one. I figured I'd just bring it out because it's Christmas.
All right, now you've been rehabbing. When was the last rehab session that you had, and what were you able to do in it?
Yesterday was a hard day for me. I did a lot of isolated leg stuff. Did leg squats on these little balls with a stick holding my balance. I did a couple on the machine. Then I lifted, and I ran on the bike for 20 minutes.
All right. Is there a timetable for you to actually get on the floor? Can you see the light at the end of the tunnel?
I hope so. They don't really tell me my timetable. I'm out there shooting a little bit now, but I can't really run or jump. But hopefully in the next 2 months I can be out there.
All right. Is there anything that you can learn about being an NBA player without actually being able to play?
Yeah, I just get to look and I get to see the guys' timetables. They have a very busy schedule, and I'm not even playing, and I'm tired by doing half the stuff that they're doing. So I just get used to the timetable and what all they have to do.
Now, is there a talent that you've been able to develop as a result of being out of action that maybe you wouldn't have been able to develop otherwise?
We have a shooting coach, so I'm shooting a lot, trying to get my shot down, and I'm in the weight room every other day, so I'm getting stronger.
Now, what about off the court?
Off the court, I really don't do anything but go home and just play video games.
All right, by the way, Mark Jones, our play-by-play guy, is a big fan of your blog. He says, can't get enough of it. When do we see the next installment?
Our I'll probably blog next if we win this game.
Jonesy, there you got it.
Oh, I'm about to log on right now, just like James Jones just logged on from downtown. As Portland now with a 5-point lead, and can only wish the best for Greg Oden in his recovery from microfracture surgery on that knee that he underwent back on September the 14th. Foul underneath against Portland. And getting back to Greg Oden, a lot has been made of the fact, John, that during his time in recovery, he's gotten into the weight room, like he said. His weight reportedly right around 290 pounds. And speaking with Kevin Pritchard, the general manager, he says it's not that much of a concern because he was around 275 pounds before he started lifting. So he hasn't put on as much weight and caused some of the consternation that some people might think added weight on that new joint when he comes back.
Well, it depends where that muscle's going on and where that weight's going on, but you don't want to have such a big frame to put on those knees. I mean, he's a young kid. It's not going to affect him now, but certainly down the road, it could be a factor. But I'm sure his body fat at 290 is right where it needs to be. He is an absolute specimen.
And there would be obviously a little bit of a temptation to bring him back this year with the team doing so well and contending. But Kevin Pritchard said emphatically no, that will not happen this year. There's Kevin Pritchard on the left. Natalie attired in his pink. Of course, that's part of the winning streak. He said that he's superstitious. He'll wear a pink article of clothing as long as this winning streak continues. And the guy to his right is the owner of the team, Paul Allen.
Nice to see Paul showing up nowadays. Win 10 in a row, and the owner's here every night.
It has been nothing but smiles for Kevin Pritchard since that day of the draft lottery in Secaucus, New Jersey back in May.
Well, he and his staff have done a terrific job here assembling this young talent. And boy, Brandon Roy, what a great pick.
5-point lead for the Blazers. Here's LaMarcus Aldridge working against Kurt Thomas. These two guys work out against each other in the summer down in the Dallas area. That time Thomas got the better of the matchup.
And you notice that LaMarcus Aldridge didn't move Kurt Thomas one iota. Great strength, Kurt Thomas, as Durant continues to struggle. Just 2 of 7 now. Our two main guns are struggling out here, Jonesy.
Yeah, they sure are. Jared Jack fouls going to the basket. And folks, here's what's on your NBA calendar. On NBA TV on Wednesday, Miami continuing to struggle at Philadelphia, followed by Minnesota Golden State at 10:30. Then TNT on Thursday, it's Cleveland at Dallas, Boston at Seattle. That all starts at 8 p.m. And then ESPN Friday has Detroit at Toronto. That's January 4th. And then Miami at Dallas. That all starts at 7 o'clock Eastern time. Steve Blake from the free throw line. What about the Miami Heat? The game we saw earlier today on ABC, losing once again as Wilkins drops the jumper from the wing. Miami
I have
falling to 8 and 20.
I have nothing to say about the Miami Heat, Jonesy.
Yeah.
You live down there, you see it, and it's inexplicable. They're just not very good.
Not right now, and you can't afford to give away that many games this early in the season. And what about Nate McMillan, the great coaching job that he has done? I said at the top of the show, I mentioned Coach of the Year candidate. I don't think that's a stretch when you look at what he's done. Here's Watson swinging it around to Thomas. Weak side now to Wilcox. They repost it to Wilcox.
Traveling.
Looks like they're going to call a foul against the Blazers on the blocks.
Now, Wilcox, the only guy I mentioned earlier that is the post-up threat for the Seattle team. And it's very difficult to win in this league without a guy that you can dump that ball into the box time in and time out.
Timeout on the floor. Back to the Rose Garden on Christmas night right after this.
Between them and Boston, but I'm certainly impressed with the Boston Celtics, the way they defend. Not just the three guys, how good they are offensively, but they defend.
And Durant knocks down the jumper. Chicago, meanwhile, at the other end of the spectrum. And Rick Bucher, they pulled the trigger and kicked Scott Skiles to the curb.
And I don't know if you can hear me. The Bulls, as a result of moving Skiles, have decided they're going to use assistant coach Pete Myers as their head coach for tomorrow night's game against San Antonio. And then they're going to talk to assistant coach Jim Boylan before making a decision. But it appears that they are not going to make a move and go externally, at least for the remainder of this season.
Well, that's awfully kind. Here you go, Pete. go play the Spurs in San Antonio, and then we'll see what we want to do. Golly.
You can only hope that he won't be evaluated on that one game.
I know.
But then it would still, you would think at this point, be a pretty good job because fundamentally the Bulls are the same team that eliminated the defending champs, the Heat, in 4 consecutive games last year.
Oh, absolutely. The same roster, and you add Noah as Steve Blake knocks down a 3. Add Joakim Noah, and, you know, whatever the reason, I don't know what happened up there, but I think it was just a matter of the guys just hearing too much of Scott Skiles, and, you know, they tuned him out.
There's Wilcox. Portland with a 4-point lead, about 1.5 to go here in the first half. That foul against LaMarcus Aldridge. And coming up on the Toyota Halftime Show, folks, with Stan Verrett, Jalen Rose, and Stephen A. Smith back in the studio. 38 points on the day for Kobe against the Suns. A big day for King James. And what's next for the struggling Miami Heat? Pat Riley put that team together, made the trade for Ricky Davis, traded away Antoine Walker.
But what about
Mark Blount?
What about the LA Lakers? I mean, now that's 2 wins in a row over Phoenix. Phoenix bumped them out of the playoffs the last 2 years. They went down to Phoenix and put it on them. Took care of business again today. The LA Lakers at 18-10. You know, who would have thought that?
And the murmurs of perhaps the best player in the game, Kobe Bryant, of him being traded, have really subsided. There's no pulse on that right now.
Winning cures everything. If they were 10-18, I'm sure that we'd be hearing a lot.
Wilcox at the free throw line, second one on its way for the Sonics. And Weezy, as he's called by his teammates, knocks down the second. He's got 3 points in the game. And I think we have a delay of game against Seattle. Brandon Roy, meanwhile, has gone to the locker room to be tended to.
Oh, he took an elbow. Took a Wilcox elbow right to the face there, Jonesy.
Strictly inadvertent. Seattle still in its zone defense here. 10 on the shot clock, James Jones. Blake with the jumper. And another offensive rebound for the Blazers. That has been the bane of Seattle so far in the game. They've got 11-0.
Well, that's what's keeping the Blazers ahead here. Not shooting well, 38%. When you get a lot more opportunities than your opponent, as Jack knocks another one down. Quietly, Jarrett Jack with 12 points off the bench and 3 assists.
Durant with the quick trigger, and he drains another 3-ball. He has a leg up on the Rookie of the Year award, and that's why, bringing his team to within 2 points.
Well, I'll say this. It doesn't bother the Sonics when Portland scores because they go right back at them and take the first available shot as Durant knocks another one down.
Travis Outlaw might have gotten a piece of, actually missed it. Durant might have gotten a piece of it. DJ Carlesimo telling us that his star rookie is very cognizant of what people say about his defense. He doesn't have to worry about this part of it. The offense he's got down. That time off the mark. 15 seconds on the game clock for Watson out top. A chance for Seattle to tie or go into the locker room with the lead on a 3-ball. Wilcox had a mismatch against Jarrett Jack, and Watson tried to get it to him on the lob. It's knocked out of bounds. Seattle basketball with 4.2 to go in the half. The Sonics with possession in a little over 4 seconds to go here in the first half. Let's see what they do. Thomas open underneath over Jones. Well, he got a good look at it, but instead Portland will go to the break and into the locker room with the lead. Wally Szczerbiak with 15 points. He's the high scorer for Seattle. Meanwhile, Jarrett Jack giving Portland a great boost off the bench. He had 12 points in the first 24 minutes, and he's standing by with Rick Bucher.
All right, Jarrett Jack, a big scoring first half. Coming off the bench, it seems like you might be getting comfortable with that role.
I'm trying to. That was pretty much the reason for bringing me off the bench, so I can come in and be more aggressive and be able to attack.
And what is the key? What is the difference when you switch those roles?
Just trying to accept the role wholeheartedly. I try to do my best at, really embracing the role, and it's starting to work out for me.
And how does that role is that role affected when you're playing on Christmas?
It's not too bad. I mean, everybody was coming out here, a really emotional game. We want to keep the streak going, and, everybody wants to play well in this big game.
All right, thank you. That's Jarrett Jack. Brandon Roy went to the locker room with jaw pain. Jarrett Jack took over. The Blazers have a halftime lead. Jonesy?
Yeah, that'll happen when you take an elbow to the chops. Well, our halftime score, Portland.
Brandon Roy to settle down. I thought he pressed the issue a little bit early. 2 of 11. I expect him to have a great second half and Portland to play much, much better.
I'm sorry, John. I was distracted. I was leaping through my basketball for dummies. Aldridge with the putback, no good, and now Seattle with an opportunity to tie. You could have at least wrapped them for me.
Well, I didn't have, I went to the famous Powell's bookstore here in Portland and didn't have time.
Wilcox comes up with a steal to Thomas for the layup, and we're tied at 46. The Sonics have defeated the Blazers 8 of the last 11 meetings, and interestingly enough, have won 4 of the last 5 times here in Portland. Here's Blake. A 2-man game with Prisbilla. Out to Roy. He struggled in the first half and gets off to an auspicious beginning here in the third quarter.
Well, maybe that'll get him going. Steve Blake with a nice look, find Roy wide open. Real sloppy game out here. I think the youth has got something to do with this. Hey, we're on national TV. We want to show everybody what we can do. The Blazers 10 in a row as Prisbilla takes a nice charge there.
Offensive foul against Chris Wilcox.
So this is the Blazers really one of their first chances to get people to see him throughout the country. I know they were on TNT a couple weeks ago, but I think they're just all pressing the issue a little bit too much, and I think they're going to settle down here in the second half. We're going to see some excellent basketball.
We talked about it in the first half. Greg Oden, the first pick in the draft of the Blazers, sidelined by microfracture surgery back in September. Martell Webster with the miss. Blake gets it back. Blake lets it fly, and Wilcox clears. They could have really disconcerted this Blazers team, the injury to Oden, but they've really put forth a great effort. Right now, winners of 10 straight games. Durant misfiring from long range.
Well, what did Nate McMillan say? He said, we never had him on the floor. So it wasn't something that they really had to address. He was never on the floor with them during training camp.
Brandon Roy, meanwhile, has elevated the level of his play. During that streak, he's averaged about 24 points to go along with 7 assists per game. That time with another miss. Roy kicks it back out to Blake. 16 on the shot clock. Good patience by the Blazers. Webster from just inside the three-point line, and he misses again. Kurt Thomas, the quintessential pick-and-pop big man, that time off the mark.
Well, this is just a jump shooting affair as LaMarcus Aldridge runs out. But somebody's got to get the ball into the paint and score the ball.
And think about this winning streak of Portland's, John. This is a team that last year went 32-50. They've won 7 at home, 3 on the road, and twice they've beaten Denver, who are contenders, and twice they've beaten Utah, who albeit struggling right now as Roy scores the layup. Utah is a bona fide team that went to the Western Conference Finals a year ago, and that time Wilkins, on a major foray to the bucket, is fouled by Martell Webster. And one more period on this winning streak by Portland. 7 of the 10 games have been against teams over 500.
Looked like a good call there. I thought Webster slid in under Wilkins. I don't know if he was in the restricted area or not, but he certainly wasn't set. Well, you talk about that Blazer team. How about start the season with 3 straight losses, then they win a game, they lose 5 in a row, win 1 game, and then lose 4 in a row, and then win a game, win 10 in a row. I mean, so they're the epitome of a streaking team, and I'm not talking about Will Ferrell and old school. This is some major streaking going on here in Portland.
Wilkins at the free throw line. The son of Damian Wilkins knocks it down in Miami and Philadelphia on Wednesday on NBA TV on your NBA calendar, folks. Minnesota at Golden State at 6 and 10:30 respectively. TNT Thursday has Cleveland at Dallas, followed by Boston at Seattle. That all starts at 8, and then January the 4th, it's Detroit at Toronto, followed by Miami at Dallas.
Damian showed Uncle Dominique.
Yes.
It runs in the family at 41 in Atlanta 3 weeks ago.
Son of Gerald Wilkins, and that time Brandon Roy hitting a little step-back jump shot. Roy, a Seattle product out of the powerhouse high school there, Garfield High. Wilkins lets it fly. Rebounded by Przybilla.
Everything from the perimeter from the Seattle Supersonics. You live by the jump shot, you die by the jump shot. Got to get that ball into the post to Wilcox.
Marcus Aldridge expanding his range this year. Nate McMillan has given him more of a free rein to shoot the perimeter jump shot. And when you make shots, it earns you the right to do that.
Well, he's got a nice touch, and that time posted up. If he turns and shoots with his height and length, no one's going to be able to bother that shot.
Thomas off the mark. 6-point lead for Portland. Webster working against Durant. 13 on the shot clock for Blake. Aldridge again.
You sure you want him to keep shooting that?
Well, as opposed to last year, that might have earned him a trip to the bench. This year, Nate McMillan will let him shoot it. Wilkins inside. Aldridge comes up with the defensive play in the block. Aldridge, and he'll earn himself a trip to the foul line on the hack by Kurt Thomas.
Well, I like to see LaMarcus Aldridge get in the post. I know he's a decent standstill jump shooter, but this time he squares him up. A nice little fadeaway turnaround to his right shoulder. And like I said, he gets that ball so far up in the air, there's no one's going to be able to bother that shot.
You know, there's always a little bit of a defining point in a young career, and it might have come last year for LaMarcus Aldridge. He said that he was really hurt and stung by being left out of the rookie-sophomore challenge game All-Star Weekend a season ago, and that was part of the motivational fuel that he used over the summertime to up the level of his play, and he wants to make sure that he's going to be involved in that run this year.
Well, I think if he continues to improve, we're going to see him in the big game. Forget the rookie-sophomore game. This guy's got a chance to be an all-star caliber player for many years to come.
Portland leading by 6 with about 7.5 minutes to go here in the first half. That's going to be a foul against Steve Blake. That's his first personal foul. Steve Blake, a free agent signee from the Denver Nuggets, signing with Portland. He actually never sold his home here when he played for Portland earlier in his career. But you mentioned it, it's an overloaded backcourt situation for the Blazers right now. It is working out.
Yeah, it's working, and all these guys are on the same page. It's about winning basketball games, and each guy has to sacrifice if you want to win.
Durant foul. And Durant will go to the free throw line.
I didn't realize how big this guy is. I mean, he's legit 6'10", and with that wingspan of his arms, tremendous length. And you talked about it earlier, he does have pride on the defensive end. He has to go against guys that are big-time scorers in this league, and he does care about playing good defense.
He's now scored in double figs in 26 of 28 games so far this season, and you look at how his rookie scoring stacks up against some of the real great rookies of all time, including Shaq and David Robinson at the top of that list. Four-point ball game after the free throw. Roy on the baseline, drawing a lot of attention, and Przybilla makes himself available for the bucket.
Another great play, Brandon Roy. The ability to put the ball on the floor, gets by Damian Wilkins and finds the cutting Joel Przybilla for the easy one.
Wilcox posting up. Instead, it's Durant from downtown. Rebounded by Wilcox. Przybilla banging against Wilcox. Roy rebounds it for the Blazers. Webster in transition. We'll pull it out and run a little bit of offense. Aldridge left open. That one halfway down and out. Seattle has missed its last 7 field goals in a row. Watson. And he's got ripped. 3-on-2. Blake. High off the glass over Wilcox.
Great defense on one end by Steve Blake, and he's able to finish it as Brandon Roy. Not making a whole bunch of shots tonight, but able to dish it out.
Brandon Roy showing that there are so many facets to his game, shooting as well as passing. Back with more after this.
Hi, I'm Brandon Roy. and you're watching the NBA on ESPN. Happy holidays.
Injured. LeBron James out for 5 games. They couldn't score 80 points without him. So, yeah, I expect them to play better. Last year, I thought it was a bit of a fluke that they made it to the finals, to be quite honest with you.
Interesting. Here comes Martell Webster for the Blazers. Portland leading by 8 points, just under 6 minutes to go here in the third quarter of play. Mark Jones along with John Barry, Rick Bucher courtside. Brandon Roy, last year's Rookie of the Year, struggled early, but has found his stroke here in the third quarter play, nailing the 3-ball. Roy with his dad, Tony, here watching. His brother, Ed, former high school basketball star in Seattle. And Roy with 12 points now. Collison inside, rebounded by Fry.
I'll tell you what, Mark, it's great to hear people in the Rose Garden getting up and getting loud. An excellent, unbelievable NBA city it's been for so many years.
Certainly has been. You can almost hear and feel the echoes as Steve Blake knocks down a long ball. (9-0) Blazer run. Durant trying to stop the hemorrhaging, but can't. Blake in transition for Portland. Webster. And this place ready to explode after that one, but Blake gets it back. Good hustle. Roy wide open. Butter.
Been doing it for the last 10 games in this streak. We talk about him being the catalyst, and he's showing us all phases of his game with a great assist to Steve Blake. Able to take the ball inside, showing a little post, a little step back J. Little hustle here, he gets the ball back, the beneficiary of great hustle. He knocks down the 3-ball. Brandon Roy off to a horrible start in the first half has gotten it going, and the big reason why this Blazer team up 16 now.
Yeah, great hustle a few moments ago to save that loose ball, culminating in his long-distance jumper. See what Seattle runs out of this timeout.
11 points on 5 of 6 shooting for Brandon Roy here in the third, as the Blazers have turned it up defensively.
Serbiak comes up short. Seattle has missed its last 10 field goals in a row. Make that 11 with that miss. Martell Webster, a little bit out of control that time. Wilcox quickly to Durant.
Good
and
foul.
A wise foul, by Steve Blake, who was outmanned and overmatched in the open court against Durant. That's a second personal foul against Steve Blake. First team foul in the period. Well, visit NBA.com where you can vote to send your favorite player to New Orleans for NBA All-Star 2008. Vote daily in 20 different languages with the All-Star ballot presented by T-Mobile online exclusively at NBA.com.
Hey, Mark, use your new dictionary and vote in the language, baby. Maybe there's one in there you don't know.
Hey, English is tough enough, okay? You can expect to see maybe Brandon Roy, and albeit in a very tough Western Conference, has a shot. Watson, meanwhile, with the jumper. But Roy, with the ball right now, had something interesting to say when I spoke with him earlier. He said, my style's really not conducive to all-star votes. He's not really flashy, is he, John?
Well, I saw a couple dunks early in the first half, but he looked pretty flashy to me. The bottom line is helping his team win as Channing Frye knocks one down. And this guy is doing that. He's the leader of the youngest team in the NBA that is on the cusp here of winning their 11th game in a row.
Durant working against Roy. And a foul on the help by Channing Frye. You can almost feel and hear the echoes of some of the greats that played here in the past. Bill Walton, Lionel Hollins, Maurice Lucas, Dave Twardzik.
But Dr. Jack. Dr. Jack Ramsey, the coach.
Members of that championship team back in
Jeff Petrie,
1977.
Great GM down in Sacramento. And boy, could he score the basketball.
Used to be the magic number when it came to Portland, and attendance was 12,666. Always a sellout at Old Memorial Coliseum. Well, in the new building here, the Rose Garden, it's 19,980.
Well, this is a rich franchise, and you think it's been a long time for success for this Blazer team? With their hot December, Mark, get this, their first winning month in 19 months. November of 04 was the last winning month that this franchise has had.
Wow. Brandon Roy off the high screen, rising up, and that's going to be an offensive foul against Brandon Roy. That's his third personal foul with 2:54 to go in the third period. And Portland up by 14 points. Steve Blake checks out of the ballgame. And Jarrett Jack, who had 12 in the first half, gave them a real spark off the bench. He comes in.
That he did, 6 of 7 shooting, and I really love this point guard combination that they have. The three-headed monster, as we're going to see Sergio Rodriguez come in the game here shortly.
Thought you were going to make it one of those first name, one name only deals when you said Sergio.
Well, you could do that with a Sergio name. I mean, anybody can just go by Sergio.
Watson with a kick ball. Rodriguez comes in for Nate McMillan's crew. Brandon Roy will take a breather on the bench. Rodriguez has been given a little bit more of a leash of late, as Nate McMillan, in his newfound philosophy of letting guys make their mistakes, Rodriguez has been on the positive end of that.
He's not playing a lot, just 9.5 minutes a game. But it's an important 9.5 minutes. As with everybody that sees time on this floor, I mean, James Jones, an outlaw, and Jarrett Jack. All these guys are playing a major role in what's going on here in Portland.
Nate McMillan really goes deep into his bench on a regular basis. Here's Aldridge. Kicks it out to Rodriguez. They repost it to Aldridge. A sweeping hook shot, but it's nothing but air that time. Is it just me, or is that the second wild hook shot we've seen in this game?
Yeah.
Durant with the runner from the elbow.
Man, that was a tough shot.
And Kevin Durant has 15 points on 5 of 15 from the field. 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. It has been all Portland here in the third period. Jack out top working against Durant. Well, it's tough to defend, but boy, Kevin Durant, we told you he takes pride in his defensive prowess. There's evidence of it.
Wow. Well, we know he can do this on the other end. This is just a tough pull-up. Off balance, leaning forward from the free throw line, but on the other end, says, get this stuff out of here, Jarrett Jack. I can play on both ends of the floor.
Back with more from Portland after this. Way here in Portland. Jarrett Jack with 1 second to go on the shot clock.
Seattle only down 12. You got 1:30 here to go, roughly. Get this thing under 10. You take it in the fourth quarter and give yourself a chance.
15 foul against Portland. That's his third personal foul, sending Kevin Durant to the free throw line. You look at the rather slight frame of Kevin Durant, and it was a little bit of an issue at the NBA Combine last year when he failed to bench press 135 pounds, to which his college coach, Rick Barnes, retorted, hey, we're not making football players down here at Texas. He had a good point. But what do you make of the strength issue with him playing the position he plays, John?
Well, certainly he's going to have to get stronger, but I'm not concerned about what a guy bench presses, and especially a guy that's a wing player. I'll take size and length and speed over strength anytime.
And Rick Bucher has a little bit more. Rick?
Yeah, I've talked to a number of athletic trainers about that very fact, and strength and conditioning coaches, and their bottom line was, look, you're never lifting somebody off of you when you're playing basketball. We're working on core strength and other things, Jonesy.
Yeah, good point. As, you know what? It doesn't matter if he can bench press 2 pounds or 10, 20 pounds. If he can shoot like that with that feathery touch, it's going to help the Seattle franchise. The lead down to just 10.
Oh, wow.
Outlaw trying to counter, couldn't.
135 pounds, though, he couldn't bench. I eat that.
And an and one for Jeff Green, the quote-unquote other rookie on the Seattle roster, also a first-round pick.
Well, this is nice to see a little post-up out of Seattle, primarily the jump shooting team. Jeff Green, the rookie out of Georgetown, traded over in that Ray Allen deal on draft day.
Jeff Green out of Georgetown University, averaging about 8.7 points per game, coming off a 10.4 rebound performance in their last win against the Raptors several nights ago, missing the free throw, but run down by Collison. They get another opportunity here. Seattle in the midst of a 10-2 run with under a minute to go in the third quarter. Trail by 8. Green again. Outlaw couldn't squeeze it, and it goes right to Fry. Rodriguez working against Durant. Sergio Rodriguez from downtown.
Not the shot Nate McMillan wanted there. Bigger player on you. You got to take the ball to the basket.
No hook coming, though. This is the kinder, gentler Nate McMillan. Durant working against Jarrett Jack over the top of him. Rebounded by Collison, and that's the end of the third quarter of play. Seattle rallying at the end of the period, but still Nate McMillan's Blazers outscoring Seattle 24-18 in the period, and he'll be joined by Rick Bucher when we come back on the other side. Portland trying to keep his 10-game winning streak alive. Back with
Well, you know, what we need to do right now is our transition defense and our rebounding. We got to limit this team to one shot. Nick Collison is just all over the boards, and they're kicking the ball up, advancing the ball to Kevin and Serbiak, and they're just nailing shots. So transition defense and offensive rebounds is where we got to clean it up.
And what's the key to making that happen?
Well, I think the thing is we got to sprint back and we got to take a man. We got cross matchups because they're playing zone at times, and they're doing a good job of getting the ball out quick. We just got to get back, communicate, and pick up a man.
Thank you, Coach.
Now, there's no science to that. That's just about hustle, getting on the boards, getting back. There's nothing you draw up as a coach. You just say, go get it done.
Yeah. Nate McMillan has used a very deft touch in managing his team this year. 15 and 12 coming in. Rodriguez with the steal for Portland, and fouled by Wilkins. Sergio Rodriguez making it happen. Actually, they're going to say it's knocked out of bounds. No foul on the play. It'll be Portland basketball underneath.
Well, if you're Seattle, you got to take care of the basketball. That's 12 turnovers now. You're trying to get back into a game. Cannot turn the ball over in the fourth quarter.
Portland in the midst of a 10-game winning streak, the longest in the NBA right now. They are the hottest team in the association. Outlaw skying for the rebound. Jones thought about it. And Rodriguez running the show. Nice feed inside to Fry, posting up over Collison. And Jeff Green clears. Hey, Seattle, who trailed by 16 points in the last period, cut the lead to just 8, courtesy of a 10-2 run.
How about this Blazer team right now? Not a starter on the floor. That's how much confidence Nate McMillan has in this second unit.
Ridnour kicks it out to Wilkins. 9 on the shot clock. Still plenty of time. Now down to 4. Serbiak against Jones. Tried to draw the foul and didn't draw iron.
That should have been a shot clock violation there, but didn't hit the rim. But nonetheless, Portland gets the rebound. You know, I said second unit earlier. I should say the black unit. Yes. Nate doesn't call his team the first and second unit. It's the black and white unit. I'm not sure if they're the white or the black.
In any color, that's a great move by the white units. Travis Outlaw.
The bench is the white unit. The starting is the black unit. My point is that he doesn't like to say who's first or second. As Collison throws it down on a great look from Jeff Green.
Lead back down to 8 points. Collison with 7 in the ball game and 12 rebounds. This Portland team, remember, went 32 and 50 a season ago. Rodriguez missed everything.
He looked at the basket like it moved on him.
And Ridnour, well, you can tell Ridnour doesn't have his usual burst and explosiveness, but Collison feeling good right now offensively with 9 points. Hey, the lead is down to 6, John.
Well, Nick Collison has been a major factor. 12 rebounds, 6 on the offensive end to go along with 9 points. His energy has sparked this Sonic team.
And with that, Nate McMillan summons Brendan Roy from the bench. 5 on the shot clock for Rodriguez. Little mismatch here. Outlaw going right over the top of Ridnour. He had a little one. He had a mouse in the house that time.
Well, he took his time. He knows that Luke Ridnour cannot bother that shot. That's the spot on the floor you see Dirk Nowitzki post up so many of his mismatches.
Serbiak, who had the hot hand in the first half, nails the field goal. He now has 17.
Well, you got to hand it to the Seattle club. I mean, they were on the ropes down 16, 66-50. Great timeout by PJ Carlesimo, and they've responded.
Jarrett Jack working against Serbiak. Outlaw from the baseline. And here comes Ridnour trying to cut this lead down to 4 points.
And Nick Collison with another rebound on the defensive end. He's doing a terrific job.
Boy, Jeff Green posting up hard against Rodriguez. They couldn't get it to him. Serbiak, the alternative option, misses.
Channing Frye changed that shot. Serbiak thought he had an open one, and he had to change.
Jack out top. Boy, they're taking a long time to get into this set. Seattle, good defense switching at Channing Frye.
Well, that's Channing Frye's game. A pick and pop guy, not much of a post threat, but a dead-eye 18-foot jump shooter.
Inside Wilkins. Maybe a little too unselfish as Serbiak misses the long ball.
Oh, you're absolutely right, Mark. You got to go ahead and take that ball up. He's underneath the basket. Hopefully draw a foul if you're not able to finish.
About 7.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Portland trying to stretch its winning streak to a league-high 11. Jarrett Jack. And he's fouled by Jeff Green.
What a tremendous split of the pick and roll there by Jarrett Jack. Reminded me of the old Mark Price in Cleveland splitting Brad Daugherty. Tremendous play, Jarrett Jack, as Bo Outlaw takes advantage of the mismatch. Portland leads by 8. I'd pay to see that.
Jarrett Jack knocks down the free throw.
Hey, I might need to borrow your dictionary. I made a mistake. I called Travis Outlaw Bo, I think, on the last replay.
Not the first guy to do that.
I knew I was going to do that. I played with Bo, and I knew I was going to have it. I'm sorry, Travis. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Get over it.
10-point lead for the Blazers. It's going to be a foul against Portland. Foul against James Jones. His first personal foul, first team foul of the period. 7:17 to go.
A lot of zone we've seen here tonight, Mark. I haven't seen two teams with such a steady diet of the zone defense.
Especially Seattle, when they've been on defense. Serbiak trying to go inside to Collison, who gets double teamed. Serbiak from downtown. Rebounded by Jarrett Jack. When you look at Portland's upcoming schedule, should they get by tonight, they've got a good chance to run this winning streak as far as maybe 13 or even 14 with their upcoming opponents.
Well, and they've done this by beating some good teams. I mean, this is not the sister of the poor that they're playing. They've had 7 teams over 500 that they beat in this 10-game streak.
Foul underneath against Serbiak as Przybilla got the ball, and there's a look who they have coming up next. I mentioned the Timberwolves in, 76ers, both teams struggling. The Jazz, not the Utah Jazz of a season ago, and then the Timberwolves again, so potentially, including the Bulls, who now have a coaching change to deal with. What do you think about maybe running that thing to 16?
Well, I like their chances. I certainly think they'll get by the Timberwolves and the Sixers. They just beat Utah twice in this 10-game streak. Then you have the Timberwolves again. Well, I think absolutely. But this team takes it one game at a time, like Nate McMillan said. And they're doing that and not playing particularly great today, but they're up 10.
He's the first one to tell you, hey, I was surprised by this win streak. It caught me off guard. We didn't think we would be this far along at this point of the season. Youngest team in the NBA at a little over 24 years of age. Brandon Roy out top. In only his second season, last year's Rookie of the Year. Frye. Youth being served tonight. Frye with 14.
Well, he's feeling it that time. Came up to set a pick for Brandon Roy and slipped the pick as we get a steal on the other end.
Here's Jarrett Jack.
You see so many guys that are great shooters will come up and slip the pick. But I mean, faking that pick. They don't set it. They go ahead and go on the run and get over to their spot that puts them open for the J. And Channing Frye that time knocked it down.
Roy out to James Jones, the leader from the three-point territory in the NBA, and that's why. It's a 9-0 Portland run.
Set up by guess who, Mark?
Brandon Roy. With the ball in his hands, he's lethal. Jeff Green, little jump hook underneath.
Well, I like that. You know, that's got to be something that this Sonic team should think about. Jeff Green looking very comfortable down there in the post.
And Jeff Green and Kevin Durant played together on the same AAU team. They're both from the Baltimore area. Brandon Roy had to go halfway down and out. Here's Ridnour trying to make something happen in transition.
Great extra
wide open
pass.
Serbiak. And the assist coming from Durant on the 3-ball.
Well, that's what P.J. Carlissimo's talking about, the maturation process of Durant. Had a shot right there, saw Wally Szczerbiak, who's shooting it well, wide open in the corner. And Seattle still hanging around, down 11.
Cool style, and so do I.
They got everything in here, from watches, bracelets for your girl, the whole woman department. Coach McMillan has a pair of these, believe it or not. This might be good for Greg Oden right here. Greg, get an early look at your Christmas gift. You know it get expensive when you get into the section where you can't pronounce none of the clothes over here. I don't know if you can get that. That's $580 in American money. Hey, if you're gonna be Santa Claus, you gotta look for stuff for yourself too. Everybody else already picked out your Christmas gift, so Christmas Day, just be ready.
John, I don't think he put anything on layaway. Let me just put it that way, okay? That's a single male addicted to retail right there.
Well, how about earlier today, I heard LeBron James' mother say, what was your favorite gift from LeBron? Oh, just a convertible Mercedes. Yeah, that's what I got my mom, but the model was messed up. I don't know, I sent it back.
Here's Channing Frye out top. Brandon Roy in the giving mood this holiday season. He's been giving it to Seattle, especially in the third quarter. Seattle with a little bit of work to do, down 11 points with about 4.5 minutes to go. They've got Watson, Durant, Szczerbiak, Thomas, and Green on the floor. Going a little bit small right now, John.
Yes, and they've gone back to the man-to-man, switching all pick and rolls.
Watson over Przybyla. Green got it back, and he's fouled. Jeff Green going to the foul line. Stops the clock with 4:20 to go.
Mark, I like Jeff Green's aggressiveness. Not afraid to take it in with the big fellas. Offensive rebound there. Had a nice post-up a couple possessions ago.
He comes to this Seattle team with great lineage and basketball IQ. Out of a great program at Georgetown University.
When you talk about changing the face of the franchise, Ray Allen gone, Rashard Lewis, Bob Hill, new GM. Are they going to stay in Seattle? I mean, the questions are all over the board for this Seattle team. And Kevin Durant and Jeff Green are two guys that I know are going to be there for a while and be the face of this franchise, whether it be in Seattle or Oklahoma City.
Clay Bennett Jr., the owner of the franchise, has intimated that he wants to move the franchise to Oklahoma City. There have been overtones made in that direction. Ball out of bounds. It'll stay with the Portland Trailblazers. And for more, here's Rick Bucher. Rick?
Yeah, well, it wasn't too long ago that this Portland franchise was on the move, too. Owner Paul Allen was talking about moving it, and the Anaheim Ducks owner, whose name escapes me at the moment, had a big interest. But if he had indeed gone through with that sale, the franchise most likely would not have stayed here because of the onerous arena deal that they had at the time. Jonesy?
Yeah, since that time they've gotten into a more mutually beneficial one.
Did that word come out of your dictionary, Mark? That was pretty impressive there about you.
Well, that had about 8 more letters than the one you gave me. Here's Szczerbiak. Roy with the rebound. Seattle with a good opportunity there to get it under 10. Portland with Jared Jack running the show. Brandon Roy, Travis Outlaw, Przybyla, and James Jones. Roy fouled, and Brandon Roy will go to the free throw line. Roy was back-to-back Rookie of the Week, Player of the Week in the Western Conference as Kevin Durant gets up slowly off the deck.
Well, that's saying something, Mark.
Yeah.
2 straight weeks to be the best player in the Western Conference. And Nate McMillan, we talked to him about that, and he said, and not only is that just a great accomplishment for Brandon Roy, but for our team. Yeah. You know, that validates that what our team is doing is something that's special. It's something going on that they can be proud of. And each guy can take pride in the fact that Brandon Roy got that award 2 weeks in a row.
Look at his numbers there. During this winning streak, 10 games long, he's averaging about 24 points, 7 assists per game. And he said that there is great team building, chemistry on this squad. In fact, when they were in Texas for the old Texas two-step, Dallas and San Antonio, they went to a Dallas Cowboys football game. The entire team, coaching staff, trainers, everybody. And then after that, on the next stop in Texas, they went to the Big 12 title game and had a chance to talk a little college football smack back and forth.
Well, they have great camaraderie. And
Ollie Serbiak with the miss, tipped up inside, no good by Thomas.
I talked to Kevin Pritchard before the game, and he said, you know, we lost the game on the road, and everybody got on the bus and on the plane, and it was totally silent. You know, and a lot of teams, hey, guys are joking around and saying this team really does care about what's going on.
Good nice defensive move by Durant on Brandon Roy.
Well, that's 2 huge blocks for Durant here tonight, and he's playing good defense. Playing against one of the better players in the league, and Brandon Roy, and you know, definitely holding his own.
Watson tries to split the double team, does, and is fouled. And Earl Watson may have thrown the ball at Joel Przybilla. Our officials, Scott Foster and Rodney Mott, and now Eric Lewis joining the discussion. Going to talk it over. That's going to be a technical foul against Earl Watson. Yeah, he threw it clearly at Joel Przybilla after the whistle went. Perhaps a little frustration from the starting point guard for Seattle. We'll be back with more in a minute. 2:35 to go in the fourth quarter, but P.J. Carlesimo still every bit engaged with his team.
Push, push, push. We're good, we're good, we're good. Look, Kev, it's about defense and stops. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Let's work, let's work.
Well, P.J. Carlesimo is certainly not throwing in the towel here, and you always hear people talk about we're not communicating on defense, and that's what it's about. And you're always going to hear those coaches yelling, we're okay here, look out here, look at your back. And that's what players need to do, and the great defensive teams in this league are always talking. There's no surprises out there, and usually that comes from the guy in the back, the quarterback of the defense, Tim Duncan. It's nice to have a guy like that back there.
Last resort, last line, 13-point lead for the Blazers. Durant working against Roy. Good escape dribble, and knocks down the mid-range jumper.
I'm trying to think of who he reminds me of, Mark. A little bit of Ice Gervin with the length.
Yeah, I'm not sure Ice was 6'9 or 6'10.
No, but he's got the length. He's got the ball on the little string there. Might have got away with a carry, but he's smooth. He always seems to be under control. His shot selection has been good for the most part, I thought, tonight. He hasn't played particularly well, 7 of 19, but he does have 21.
And wonderfully fundamental, and it goes back to his days as a youth, not playing a lot of pickup basketball. That was the strategy by a lot of his coaches. Didn't develop a lot of bad habits as a teenager playing basketball.
The youngest guy in the NBA.
Jarrett Jack with a 3-ball. The lead swells to 14.
How about Jarrett Jack off the bench with 17 huge points.
Wilcox comes up short. And yeah, Nate McMillan doing a great job using his entire roster this year. With under 2 minutes to go now, Portland looking at extending its league-high winning streak to 11 games.
He's gone 10 deep tonight, and everybody has contributed in some form or fashion.
Outlaw kind of lost his balance there and missed the shot, but atones for it by getting it back. Got a whistle on the play, and Scott Foster wants to talk things over with Eric Lewis. And with 1:27 to go here on Christmas Day, I want to thank our entire crew, the people behind the camera, very talented folks you never get a chance to see including our producer, Mandy Cohen, and our director, Pat Lowry, today.
Absolutely. They've been here for a couple days, and they make our job so much easier. Steve LeBeau, the great statistician, our guy coming in from Hawaii. Too bad, Steve.
And all our cameramen and audio technicians, sound men, tape men, graphics, technical director, so many people responsible in putting this show together and giving up their Christmas.
You know, it's exciting to see these two young teams. Kevin Durant, going to be an all-star player in this league someday, and Jeff Green, who I was very impressed with, didn't get a whole lot of minutes, but showed me something. Brandon Roy off to a horrific start at 2 of 11 and came back to dominate the third quarter and get this Blazer league going. So a lot of fun. A couple teams that are going to be teams to look out for in the coming years.
I'm going to say it right now. I'm not going to overlook the fact that the schedule is a little bit favorable for Portland coming up. They're going to run the streak to 16 as Wilcox comes down with the hammer.
Okay, do you put them in the playoffs, though? That's the question. Are they going to be one of the top 8 in the Western Conference? Right here, Mark Jones. You tell me.
I'm going to say it's going to happen. And if the playoffs began today, they would be.
It's not okay, they got 55 more games to play.
They would be the number 8 seed. The way this team has come together, it'd be tough to go against it. Jones. Don't forget SportsCenter coming up right after the game with all the news and highlights from a very busy day in sports. A couple of NBA games on tap. A couple of games you saw earlier today on ABC. Cleveland, Miami, and Los Angeles, Phoenix. Kobe Bryant going off once again today. And this one is cooked, glazed, ready to be sliced. That foul by Green. As the Blazers will add to their win streak, pushing it to 11. Now you see Maurice Lucas, one of the assistant coaches for Nate McMillan on the sidelines.
Man, was he a bruiser.
Interesting during Heritage Week. He pulled over Brandon Roy, some of the young guys, showed them some of the stats from Wilt Chamberlain, Oscar Robertson, says, hey, this is what the league is about. It's about guys that built it. It's about talent, and it's about effort, something both those guys had and something you guys have to display if you want to take that next step. And Portland has taken a small step in the right direction tonight.
Well, that's 11 straight steps. I know that much. And I'm impressed with this young team and Brandon Roy, who's quickly becoming one of the better players in our league. Showed great poise tonight after he got off to a sluggish start. LaMarcus Aldridge basically did nothing tonight. He's been a guy that's been an 18-point scorer. Now, this team is for real, and
let's go to Rick Bucher, who's standing by with Brandon Roy.
I'm indeed here with Brandon Roy. How would you describe your first half?
I would say it was a tough first half. I came out real excited. The whole game was pretty sloppy, but I think the important thing is we got the win, so I'm going to take it.
You took a shot to the jaw right there at the end of the first half. How did that impact you?
I think it slowed me down a little bit. When he hit me in the jaw, I went back to the back. I finally relaxed a little bit, and I was able to play a much better third quarter.
And then what was the major change that you made in the second half overall?
I just tried to be aggressive. I tried to get to the basket. In the first half, I was going to the basket looking for contact. Second half, I tried to get to the basket and just try to finish play. So, tough game for us, but it's 11 in a row.
All right, that is indeed Brandon Roy with 11 in a row and a big second half. Back to you, Jonesley.
All right, thanks a lot, Rick. You ended up with 17. Jared Jack with 17. Steve Blake and Channing Frye chipping in with 12 points apiece. And in the big picture, it's an 11-game winning streak for the Portland Trailblazers. Still the hottest team, maybe the hottest story in the entire league right now. Once again, our final score, Portland 89, Seattle 79. Coming up next on ESPN SportsCenter. There's been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For John Barry, Rick Bucher, and our entire gang, I'm Mark Jones saying Merry Christmas from Portland, Oregon. Right now, let's go to SportsCenter.
All the secrets coming out of that locker room.
As Telfair controls for the Timberwolves, they're going to try and go inside to Jefferson, although Brewer has it now. He kicks to Combs. Back inside. Jefferson trying to get him off the schneid, and he hits a tough shot with 1 on the shot clock.
I like the Blazers double-teaming Jefferson. They don't double-team a lot, the Blazers, low post scoring. But they kept Jefferson, but he reestablished his position. They threw it back to him. Blazers didn't double the second time because the clock was running out.
Brandon Roy, just 9 minutes in that first half. Gives it up to Aldridge. That top of the key shot, the one that wasn't falling Tuesday, drops there.
I don't know really. Brandon Roy's a smart player. I don't think he'd have picked up his third foul. So, I don't know why he just played 9 minutes in that quarter, but, Blazers were doing well scoring-wise.
Jefferson, they're going to go right through him in the second half, and so far so good. 2 trips, 2 Jefferson buckets. That one through Przybilla.
Yeah, and Randy Whitman stands up and says to the guards, that's the way to get it into Al Jefferson. He's going to have a big night because they're going to get him the ball in this second half.
Roy to Aldridge again. LaMarcus swings it this time. Blake wouldn't take the 3. Martell Webster will, and that's off the mark. The rebound, Telfair. Martell 2 for 7, struggling following 1 for 7 game on Tuesday. And that shot off the mark, and Randy Whitman saying, where was my guy Jefferson? Isn't that what we just talked about? Blazers a 7-point lead. Blake, nice pass baseline. Webster running the floor. Hits the deck, and Craig Smith was there to give him some pressure, and Telfair handling for the Timberwolves.
In the NBA, you got to get up and get back down on defense. Luckily, the Timberwolves didn't find the open man, Martell's man.
Gomes going to try and take it at Webster. He missed the shot. Good defense by Martell. Offensive rebound, Jefferson. Foul on Przybilla. They score the bucket. Jefferson treated as an all-star, and he'll shoot to make it a 3-point play.
Al Jefferson, when he gets on a streak, their team didn't allow him to get on a streak in the first half. They just didn't give him the ball. Now in the second half, every possession, Al Jefferson has touched the basketball. That can't be good news for the Blazers. Now they are scoring in the paint. So the Blazers are going to have to double-team Jefferson, get it out of his hand, make someone like Sebastian Telfair beat you rather than Al Jefferson.
10 straight points from Al Jefferson, and it's exactly, obviously, what Minnesota talked about in the locker room. And we had mentioned a minute ago, Jefferson just 6 points and 3 rebounds at halftime. He's already changed that and fails to make it a 3-point play here. But the Timberwolves got to feel like they're in pretty good shape, trailing by only 5, and Jefferson just starting to get his night going.
Martell Webster played 10 minutes of the first quarter, then didn't get in again, so it's going to take him a little time to get into the game.
Roy bumped on the arm by Brewer. He'll shoot free throws. The shot was off, and Brewer being physical, as you mentioned. When Roy went down, Brewer went down. They're saving him just to defend Brandon.
Brewer, as we said, all defense in the Southeast Conference, Defensive Player of the Year. But Brandon Roy now, with all the publicity he is getting nationally, referees are keeping an eye after the shot. Do they hit him on the arm? Do they bump him down below? And that he's getting the attention that a lot of stars get. And he rightfully so.
Right. 1 of 2 here for Brandon. He's just 2 for 4 in the game. Brandon 76% on the year.
Blazers go into the zone with the starting unit.
It's a tough defense to rebound out of, and Smith hits across the middle with the left hand.
Craig Smith has not done a lot tonight. He did much more against Golden State the other night. He plays a physical game.
Aldridge fouled. Foul was on the floor. No free throws coming. We mentioned before the half, would the Portland coaches like 15 3-point attempts in the first half? It appears Minnesota's coaches certainly didn't, as they are going inside here early.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't do that